Good afternoon and welcome to BizTech's ASEAN Midday Market Watch. Our guest today is Jeff Halley, Senior Market Analyst, Asia Pacific at OANDA. Jeff, good afternoon and thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm just adjusting my place in the world on the screen there, so I do apologize.
Now, Jeff, before we get your insights, let's take a look at and see how markets are performing. Now, we've got the likes of the SGX, which is at 2,975.16. It's up 0.89%. Bursa Malaysia is at 1,572.49. It's down 0.33%. The Nikkei is up 2.08% at 29,569.28. Shanghai Composite is up 0.52% at 3,527.30. The Hang Seng is up 1.2% at 29,328.38. ASX 200 is up 1.64% at 6,783. Kospi is closed today. So it's a sea of green with the exception of Bursa Malaysia, Jeff. A reversal in sentiment from the Headless Chickens of last week. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, Brian, I agree about the Headless Chickens, probably because I wrote it, but I don't know if those chickens have actually stopped running around. I suspect they might be resting in their coop for a little while, and they could start coming out and running around in random directions again. Look, markets have risen today for two main factors. Firstly, the Biden stimulus, the 1.9 trillion stimulus, it passed its reading in the House of Representatives on Saturday, our time. And that now goes to Congress for, it will probably follow, it will probably face a more challenging passage, but the odds are rising that this 1.9 trillion is going to pass relatively unscathed. The second event was the announcement by the US FDA that they were approving for emergency use the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. It's very important because it's the first one-shot vaccine to come out on the market, and it's also the most easily stored and transported. So Johnson & Johnson's challenge will be enough. Will be making enough of it. But this good news has led to a general rally in asset markets around the region. We can see commodity prices are higher, oil's higher, commodity currencies are higher, and of course equities are higher.
Now I'm going to come back to you on some of that points, particularly the oil markets. But if we look at China's official manufacturing purchasing managers index for February, now that came in over the weekend at 50.6, which was lower than January's reading of 51.3. And also we've got to couple that with the fact that numbers from across the region are also not very strong, with countries like Malaysia coming in as low as 47 plus, the rest around just above 50. What's your read on the data? Because it doesn't seem to suggest the narrative that we've been following, which is there's a strong recovery in Asia.
There's three words for that, Brian: Lunar New Year. So the Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year, is actually recognized right across Asia, not just in China. And that's definitely impacted the numbers in February. So I would regard February as a bit of an outlier month, to be honest. The data's been skewed by those that holiday, which effectively left most of Asia closed. We even saw Japan had a few holidays amongst there as well. So I think it's an outlier. If we have the same sort of prints next month, that would be a concern to me. But I think this one is really Lunar New Year influenced.
Now, Jeff, what's your view on oil prices, given market talk that OPEC Plus may taper production cuts in their meeting on the 4th of March? Because after all, there is a current supply squeeze in the markets.
Yeah, I think it was very interesting to watch the price action in Asia today. So oil fell 3% on Friday. Just general risk-off run for the exit doors, headless chicken markets we saw to finish the week. We've seen oil prices rise by about 1.5% this morning. We're seeing Asian buyers out in force, and I think that's going to be the theme of the week. I don't know if Asian buyers really want to chase the markets at the higher levels that we saw of last week, particularly ahead of OPEC Plus, but I do think they are very, very keen to buy oil on any material dips. And 3% in this market is a material dip. Both the short end and long end calendar spreads on the futures markets are in a state called backwardation. Without going too much into that, it says that supplies are very, very tight in the physical market, and it's a bullish indicator. That hasn't changed. So to my mind, supplies are still tight and oil remains a buy on dips. We have this technical meeting on the 4th and 5th, Thursday and Friday this week. I am expecting them now to actually cut those production cuts slightly, probably enough to keep the Russians and the Iraqis happy, but not materially so. So I expect this market to remain tight, and that Brent will stabilise again around that $65, $66 a barrel level. And I suspect that's about the golden zone for OPEC Plus at the moment. It's high enough to fill their coffers. It's not high enough to actually see a huge surge in US shale production that then pushes prices down again.
Now, looking ahead this week, there's a lot of data points and events investors should be keeping an eye out for. But what are the key ones you're looking at?
Yeah, look, it's the first week of the month, and so we are in a data frenzy, to be honest. We have two central bank meetings in Asia this week, Australia and Malaysia. I expect them both to remain unchanged, but to be very, very dovish in their statements. We've got a plethora of PMI data, services, and manufacturing from Europe and across North America in general this week. But I think the main factor this week will be ADP employment. And if that comes in much higher than expected on, I think, Wednesday, we'll see the expectations for the US non-farm payrolls to rise onto Friday. So that number could shoot up to expectations of around 200,000. And that will be the main driver data-wise this week. Otherwise, I think we're going to be watching US bonds very nervously. And if yields rise on those again this week, we could be back into a bit of a crazy old market, the same as we saw in the previous week.
Hey, Jeff, thank you very much for your insights.
Thanks.
Now, we've been speaking to Jeff Halley. He's the Senior Market Analyst, Asia Pacific at OANDA. I'm Brian Fernandez. Check out www.biztech.asia for business and technology conversations.